Look at your bathroom floor right now. Go ahead, picture it. That grout you've been aggressively scrubbing every single weekend for the last 3 years. It's still gray, it's still dull, and no matter how much elbow grease you throw at it, it still looks like it belongs in a gas station restroom. You've spent real money trying to fix this, $12 here, $16 there. Maybe you even bought that $40 professional grade bottle some influencer swore by on TikTok. And every single time you get the exact same result. You spray, you scrub, you rinse, you stand back, and absolutely nothing has changed. So you blame yourself, you think maybe you're not scrubbing hard enough, or your tiles are just old, or hey, maybe this is just what happens to a bathroom after a decade of existing. None of that is true. The reason your tiles look like they've completely given up on life has absolutely nothing to do with your effort. It has everything to do with a decision that was made for you, very quietly, almost 30 years ago. Back in 1994, the cleaning industry pulled the one ingredient that actually worked out of the formulas you'd been trusting your entire adult life. There was no recall notice. There was no label change you'd ever actually notice. It was the same bottle, the same brand name, the exact same price on the shelf. The only thing that changed was the result, and the wildest part, the most effective acid for this specific job has been sitting in your kitchen cabinet this entire time. White distilled vinegar has a pH of roughly 2.4, and it costs less than $2 for a massive jug. When this stuff makes contact with those stubborn alkaline mineral deposits, it doesn't just loosen them, it chemically dissolves the molecular bond holding them to your tile. This isn't some folksy cleaning hack your grandmother passed down. This is hard chemistry that has been documented and understood for centuries. So ask yourself a very uncomfortable question. If a $2 bottle of vinegar does what a $12 chemical spray cannot, why has no one told you? Because the US household cleaning market cleared over $40 billion in 2023 alone. $40 billion. That number evaporates the second consumers figure out that the cheapest, most boring liquid in the grocery aisle outperforms almost everything sitting in the cleaning aisle. Their entire business model fundamentally depends on you never making that connection, and they have engineered you perfectly. Every specialty bottle on that shelf, the soap scum dissolver at $9.49, the grout revitalizer at $16 flip any of them around and look at what is actually inside. Let's do the math together, because the math is exactly where this entire illusion falls apart. You're standing in the cleaning aisle, you grab the soap scum dissolver, you grab the grout revitalizer, maybe a third bottle because your kitchen backsplash looks rough. You're north of $35 before you even see the cash register. Now, read the fine print that almost nobody bothers to read. Citric acid, lactic acid, glycolic acid, these are all acid-based formulas, every single one of them. Why? Because acid is literally the only chemistry that dissolves mineral buildup. The companies know this. They have always known this. They just figured out that if they highly dilute the active ingredient, pump it full of synthetic fragrance, slap a shiny before and after photo on the label, and call it an advanced professional restoration system, you will gladly pay $15 for something a jug of white vinegar does for $1.80. That is not marketing. That is a direct extraction operation running purely on your ignorance of pH levels. But stay with me, because here is where the real financial autopsy begins, and it goes back decades. There was a time when a single product could strip 20 years of embedded grime off bathroom tile in one pass. One pass. The product was called Spick and Span. The original formula, invented back in 1933 by two housewives in Michigan, contained an absolute powerhouse ingredient called trisodium phosphate. TSP, Procter & Gamble bought the brand in 1945, and for the next 50 years, that phosphate-based formula was the undisputed gold standard in American homes. Contractors swore by it, painters demanded it for surface prep, dissolved in hot water. TSP hits a pH of 12 to 13. It is alkaline enough to cut through grease, heavy calcium deposits, and chalky mineral film like they never existed. Then, it just vanished. Not overnight, not with a massive headline, just a quiet little reformulation that left the trusted name on the cardboard box, but entirely gutted the chemistry inside. Now, the reason for this was completely valid. Phosphates flowing into our waterways were feeding massive algae blooms that choke the oxygen out of entire lake systems. Scientists watching the Great Lakes in the late 1960s sounded the alarm, and by 1994, the industry adopted a nationwide voluntary ban on phosphates in laundry and cleaning products. And look, that environmental story is legitimate. Nobody with a brain is arguing against saving the lakes. But you have to follow the money trail that ran parallel to the ecology trail, because that is the part the industry desperately hopes you ignore. The moment phosphates disappeared from consumer formulas, the cleaning industry did not lose revenue. They multiplied it. One single product that cost pennies per use and solved your problem in a single afternoon got replaced by an entire ecosystem of specialized plastic bottles. A soap scum spray, a grout pen, a tile restorer, a weekly maintenance mist, each one priced between $8 and $20, each one doing a fraction of what the original compound did. You went from spending roughly $2 a year on a box of TSP to endlessly cycling through $40, $50, $60 a year in branded sprays. Sprays that leave you scrubbing the exact same tile every Saturday morning, wondering why your house never feels truly clean. And here is the punchline. The ingredient itself, trisodium phosphate, never actually left the market. Walk into literally any hardware store right now and go to the paint prep aisle. You will find pure TSP sitting right there on the shelf for about $2 a use. It is still there. It is still 100% legal to purchase. They just stopped handing it to you in the products you were already routinely buying. The shelf moved, the price stayed low. And the massive gap between what you are paying and what actually works became the single most profitable square footage in the entire cleaning industry. That gap is not an accident. It is a carefully engineered margin, and every single dollar inside that margin comes directly out of your pocket while your grout keeps turning brown. When Procter & Gamble finally stripped phosphates from Cascade dishwasher detergent around 2010, the online reviews flipped overnight. Spotty dishes, dull glasses, furious customers. Same bottle, same shelf price, completely gutted formula, but here's the detail that should make your jaw tighten. Procter & Gamble had already burned through over $150 million back in the 70s, trying to engineer a viable replacement for phosphates. $150 million. Chemical engineers at BASF went on the record, stating flatly that phosphates were cheap, versatile, and highly effective. No single chemical substitute existed. Decades of research, hundreds of millions in R&D, and the entire industry collectively shrugged and said, we can't replicate what we just removed. They took the hole where the phosphates used to be, wrapped it in glossy new packaging, and stamped new and improved on the label. And they charged you $15 for a spray that performs worse than what the hardware store sells in a cardboard box for $6. Think about that. A $6 box of TSP replaces 30 or 40 of those $8 specialty sprays sitting under your sink. That is $300 worth of aggressive marketing sitting next to $6 worth of actual chemistry, separated by nothing but two different aisles in the same store. One aisle has paid influencer deals and a packaging budget bigger than some countries' GDP. The other aisle has a plain brown box with zero ad spend. It is not hidden. It is not illegal. It is just strategically ignored. Now a quick disclaimer because it matters. TSP is not a universal magic wand. Professional tile setters will warn you against using it on glazed ceramic or porcelain. Because it can etch the shiny finish over time, TSP belongs on unglazed tile, concrete, brick, stone, and heavy grease prep before painting. For your standard glazed bathroom shower, your kitchen backsplash, or your shiny porcelain floor, plain white vinegar handles the job perfectly. Two different surfaces, two different raw solutions, both costing roughly $2 per use. The industry packaged a heavily diluted product claiming to handle both. They charged you 8 times the price, and it handles neither as well. You were never paying for cleaning power. You were paying for the privilege of not knowing that the real cleaning power was sitting 20 feet away, completely unbranded, waiting for someone to do the exact math you just did. But here is where most people crash and burn. Knowing the formula and actually changing your behavior are two completely different currencies, and only one of them spends. I have watched thousands of people nod along to these breakdowns. They screenshot the charts, they save the video to a playlist they will literally never open again. And then they walk straight back into the exact same spending patterns that have been dissolving their net worth like acid on calcium deposits. Not because they are stupid, because the modern financial industry has spent decades engineering an environment where your default human behavior automatically flows toward their revenue. Every tap to pay, every autofill, every frictionless one, click checkout is a beautifully designed surface meant to keep you scrubbing harder at life. While the financial residue just builds back up overnight, so forget the complex budgeting strategies, forget the color-coded pie charts that make overspending look like an interior design choice, forget the 5 a.m. morning routine of some finance bro in a rented penthouse. I am going to give you one single action. It is small, it is incredibly boring, it will feel almost insultingly simple, and that is exactly why it works. Every single Sunday evening, you're going to open your raw bank statement from the past 7 days. Not a budgeting app, the actual raw transaction list, and you're going to read every single line item out loud. Not in your head, out loud. The $640 iced coffee, the $14 same-day delivery surcharge for something you easily could have picked up tomorrow. The $49 app subscription you completely forgot existed, quietly charging you on the 12th like it does every single month. You say the number, you say exactly what it bought, and you say it to the empty room like you are reading a receipt into evidence at a trial. That is it. That is the entire method. Here is the psychology of why this works on a level no spreadsheet ever will. Your brain processes silent visual scanning as passive information. It slides right past your prefrontal cortex and lands absolutely nowhere. But vocalization forces neural encoding. When your own actual voice says $37, parking app Tuesday, your auditory cortex registers it as a physical event. It is no longer just data. You're converting invisible financial leakage into a physical experience, sound waves in your own living room, and your nervous system immediately starts treating those charges differently. Not because you are shaming yourself, because you just made the invisible visible in the most low-tech, unglamorous way possible. The first week, nothing changes. You will read the list, shrug, and close the app. The second week, you will notice yourself hesitating for half a second before tapping Confirm Order on a Wednesday afternoon. Why? Because a tiny part of your brain already knows it is going to have to hear itself say that stupid number out loud on Sunday. By week 3, that half-second pause starts murdering impulse purchases before they happen. Not all of them, maybe just 2 or 3 a week. But run that math across 12 months, and you are looking at hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars that simply never left your bank account. Not because you white-knuckled a strict budget, but because you installed a 2-minute friction ritual that totally interrupts the autopilot system the entire payment industry was built to protect. No app needed, no paid course, no accountability coach, just your voice, your bank statement, and 7 minutes on a Sunday. Most people will never bother doing this because it doesn't feel revolutionary, and that is the ultimate tell. The things that actually shift your trajectory in life are rarely exciting. They are repetitive, they are slightly uncomfortable, and they are completely free. Which is precisely why no one with a product to sell will ever recommend them to you. Do this for 8 consecutive weeks. Do not skip a Sunday. That is the only rule if your spending pattern hasn't visibly shifted by week 8. You will at least know exactly where every single dollar of your labor went, which is infinitely more than most people can say after a lifetime of working. And what you choose to do with that crystal clear clarity is where your life starts to compound in a direction these industries would really prefer you never discovered.